Gangster Granny, Chapter 8, A Small Wig in a Jar. Ben hid in the bushes outside Granny's bungalow, whilst Mum and Dad were downstairs in the living room watching Strictly Stars Dancing on the TV. Ben had scaled down the drain pipe outside his bedroom window and cycled the 5 miles to Granny's. This alone was a sign of how curious Ben had become about his granny. He didn't like cycling. His parents were always encouraging him to get more exercise. They told him that being fit was absolutely necessary if he wanted to be a professional dancer. But since it didn't make much difference when you were lying under a sink, screwing a length of copper piping, Ben had never willingly taken any exercise, until now. If Granny was really going out for the first time in 20 years, Ben had to know where. It might just hold the key to how she had come to have a ton of diamonds in her biscuit tin. So he huffed and puffed along the canal towpath on his chunky old bike until he came to Grey Close. The only good thing was that, being November, instead of being drenched in sweat, Ben was only mildly moist. He had pedalled fast because he knew he didn't have that much time. Strictly Stars Dancing seemed to go on for hours, days even. But it'd taken Ben half an hour to cycle over to Granny's, and as soon as the show was over, Ben's mum would be calling him downstairs for his tea. Ben's parents loved all the dancing TV shows, dancing on ice skates. So you think you might be able to dance a bit, but they were completely obsessed with Strictly Stars Dancing. They'd recorded every single episode and had an unrivaled collection of Strictly memorabilia in the house, including a lime green thong once worn by Flavio, framed in a photograph of him wearing it, a Strictly Stars Dancing real fake leather bookmark, some athlete's foot powder signed by Flavio's professional dance partner, the Austrian beauty Eva Buns, his and hers official Strictly Stars Dancing leg warmers, the CD of songs nearly used on the show, a small wig in a jar that had been worn by the presenter, Sir Dirk Doddery, a life-size cardboard cutout of Flavio, which had some of Mum's lipstick smudged around the mouth, some earwax in a jar that belonged to the celebrity contestant, the politician Dame Rachel Prejudice MP, a pair of tan tights that smelled of Ava Buns, a doodle on a napkin of a man's bottom drawn by the nasty judge. Craig Malteser Woodward. A set of official Strictly Stars Dancing egg cups. A half-full tub of Rax Jez used by Flavio. A Craig Malteser Woodward peelable action figure. Hawaiian hot pizza crust that had been left by Flavio, complete with a signed letter of authenticity from Ava Buns. It was a Saturday. So far the show had finished. The family were going to have cheesy beans and sausage. Neither Mum nor Dad could cook, but all of the ready-made meals Ben's mum took out of the freezer, pricked them with a fork and placed them in the microwave for 3 minutes. This was his favourite. Ben was hungry and didn't want to miss it, which meant he needed to get back from Granny's house quickly. If he had been a Monday night, say, there would have been chicken tikka lasagna, or a Wednesday, an Adonna kebab pizza, or a Sunday, and Yorkshire pudding chow mein was on the menu. Ben wouldn't have been so bothered. Night was falling. As it was late November, it was rapidly growing colder and darker, and Ben was shivering in the bushes, so he spied on his granny. Where can she be going? Thought Ben. She's hardly ever goes out. The supermarket chain where Ben's dad had worked liked to bring the cuisine of 2 countries together and one easily microwavable pack. By combining dishes from different countries, perhaps they would have been able to bring a piece of deeply divided world. Or maybe not. He saw a shadow move in her bungalow. Then her face appeared at the window, and Ben quickly shot out of view. The bushes rustled. Shh, thought Ben. Had the old lady seen him? After a few moments, the front door opened slowly, and out stepped a figure dressed entirely in black. A black jumper, black leggings, black gloves, black socks, probably even a black bra and knickers. A black balaclava disguised her face. But from the stoop, Ben knew it was Granny. She looked like someone from one of the covers of the book she'd loved reading. She straddled her mobility scooter and revved the engine. Where on earth was she going? And more importantly, why was she dressed like a ninja? Then Ben popped his bike against the bushes and got ready to trail his own grandmother. Which was one thing he had never in a million years dreamed of doing. Like a spider scuttling around the bathroom, trying not to be seen, Granny steered her scooter close to the wall. Ben followed on foot as quietly as possible. It wasn't too difficult to keep up, as the top speed of the mobility scooter was 4 miles per hour. Whirring across the road, she suddenly looked back as if she had heard something, and Ben dived behind a tree. He waited, holding his breath. Nothing. After a few moments, he poked his head round the trunk and saw that Granny had reached the end of the road. He continued the chase. Soon they were near the town's high street. It was all but deserted. As if it was early evening, all the shops had shut for the day, and the pubs and the restaurants had yet to open for the night. Granny stayed out of the glow of the street lights, swerved into the doors, and she neared her destination. Ben gasped when he saw where she had parked. The jeweller's shop. Necklaces and rings and watches sparkled in the window. Ben couldn't believe his eyes as Granny took out a tin of cabbage soup from the scooter's basket. She glanced around theatrically, then pulled back her arm in readiness to smash the tin through the jeweller's shop window. "No!" shouted Ben. Granny dropped the tin. It crashed to the ground and cabbage soup oozed all over the pavement. "Ben!" hissed Granny. "What are you doing here?" End of chapter 8.
Come on then. Who's doing it? Who's walking? Who's walking?